Good morning, it's Suzanne.
Good morning, Suzanne. And good morning, everyone. This is Commissioner Bell. Today is Tuesday, June 18th, 2024, and we'll call this meeting to order at 8 a.m. As a reminder, our call-in number is 971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607#. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute your phones. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak, again pressing *6. It's very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. We don't have Commissioner Scar with us this morning. She is in meetings, and I'll say good morning to Commissioner Olson.
Oh, good morning, Commissioner. I'm here and ready to go.
Wonderful. We'll jump right in with Adventist Health Tillamook and President Eric Swanson.
Hey, good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
We have 16 patients in the hospital today, 5 surgery cases scheduled. Ambulance crews did 7 911 transports, 2 transfers, no transports home yesterday. Across Oregon, there's 92 patients boarding in emergency departments. That's 13 more than yesterday. And there's 379 patients who are delayed discharges because there's no place to go. And that's no change from yesterday. Just want to thank everybody that turned out on Father's Day night at the Seventh Adventist Church to hear Ryan Stevenson, his concert and message. It was a big, huge blessing for those who attended, and it was great to see the church full and see people from all over Tillamook County who came to get a little blessing. So thanks for joining us on Sunday night. And that's all I've got for you, unless you've got questions for me today.
Thank you, Eric. I received a question yesterday about, do we know anything about dialysis in Tillamook? Are there any updates? We haven't heard for a while.
Sure. Well, that's a great question, and I appreciate you giving it to me. I am still in talks with one group that has shared that they do have interest in Tillamook. They're doing their due diligence at this point, trying to see if it works financially and if it aligns with the mission of that organization. So at this point, there's no new updates, but we continue to have conversation and see if we can get a partner to come in and operate dialysis center for us.
Well, that's very good news. It's good news to me that there are still possibilities and we're still hopeful about it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Eric? If not, we can move right into the Coastal Caucus. I know we have Senator Weber with us because we've said good morning already.
Yes, ma'am, I am here.
Good morning.
I am here. Sunny day. I was just in the process of saying goodbye to my kids. They're visiting here from Georgia because, of course, this is graduation weekend, and I want to especially congratulate all of the college graduates. My granddaughter graduated from OSU this weekend, and Henry, who has lived with us for a long time, has graduated from U of O. And then I saw all of the people at TBCC, and I want to be able to express my joy at their furthering their education and making sure that the path for the future is going to be clear. And also, Clatsop Community College also had a great graduation. So this is the season for it. This is a season for anticipation and really high attention to our goals for the future, and I really want to wish them well. And speaking of TBCC, this is the week for the groundbreaking of the healthcare education building on Friday. I've been watching the fencing go up and in anticipation of what's going to be moving forward, and especially to be able to educate people in our healthcare arena. It is so important, and I'm looking so forward to that. And so, drive by and watch the construction, see what we're doing for our community and especially, for our hospital and for the state. It's wonderful. Remember, June Dairy Parade Saturday, beginning of parade season. Can hardly wait. It'll be a good day. I understand the weather's going to cooperate, and so we can just celebrate our dairy industry and all of the people who come to enjoy it with us. And which brings me to what's happening today, and that is the Joint Transportation, it's the Joint Committee on Transportation is coming to town. They're doing a tour of several cities within and areas within the state of Oregon. And there'll be guests here that are going on tours to see some of our transportation challenges. There's going to be a roundtable discussion. And then tonight from 5 to 7 is a public hearing at Port of Tillamook Bay Officers Mess. And if you want to know more, if you want to be able to contribute your opinions to this, tonight from 5 to 7 at the Port of Tillamook Bay is your opportunity to be able to listen and contribute. We all have voices and we all need to be heard. And, we don't do a lot of good when we just sit in our houses and complain to our spouses or our kids about what's going on. So, take this opportunity. I had a busy week. I look at my calendar at the beginning of the week and I think, oh, this might be an easy week. But as the week goes by, things fill up. And so we had Coastal Caucus last week. We did a lot of discussions on issues, especially along our coast, that that is impacting us locally and globally, especially with our fish processing plants and issues with DEQ. So, those sorts of things are working themselves out, hopefully. I also had and participated in the meeting for Housing for Insecure Medically Complex Oregonians. It's a work group to see what we need to do, especially for older Americans with medical issues, of course. The Task Force on Substitute Teachers, making sure that we have them, that they are treated equitably, and because a substitute teacher is a very valuable commodity. I also went to the Northwest Act, which is our area arm of transportation, and listened to the reports there and had some good discussions about things that are proposed for the future. And then also participated in the Committee for Chronic Absenteeism. They're finding that 40% of our Oregon children are chronically absent from school. Now, if you don't have a seat in a school, you need to be there to learn, to contribute to society and to contribute to your own welfare. And so bringing the attention to chronic absenteeism is something that the task force is doing, and hopefully we'll be able to make some headway in getting more kids into school on a regular basis. We have been listening to several school districts throughout the state who have realized how important this is and are capitalizing on several programs that will encourage kids to be there and bring awareness to the fact that it's really important to be in school. Today, well, it's this week, it isn't today, the Tillamook Bay Flood Improvement District is going to be meeting. And that's sponsored, of course, by Tillamook County Soil and Water. And they're going to have some really good discussions this week on diking. And I'm sure Tide Gates will be involved in that discussion. This is a very active group. that is very influential in making sure that our farmland and our highways and our residential areas are safe in times of flooding, for sure. So I'll be attending that meeting too. So with that, remember the dairy parade on Saturday, joint transportation today and this evening. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Senator. Commissioner Olson, do you have any questions for the Senator?
Negative. No, I was at some of the same meetings, the Northwest Act, and I'll talk a little bit about that when my turn comes. But no, we're good, and I always appreciate the Senator's reports. They're very comprehensive.
Thank you.
Likewise, as do I. And the community. I hear from the community regularly how much they enjoy listening to you and Representative Devity in particular on the call. So thank you. I appreciate you mentioning TVCC graduation. As a member of the board there, it's my honor to be involved in graduation proceedings every year, and it's thrilling to see so many people participate in our community. Not only all the graduates, there were a lot of graduates walking and receiving diplomas this year, but so many family members. We were at the dairy barn at the fairgrounds this year, and I bet there were 500 people there. It was just wonderful. And when I think about all of the opportunity that represents for those graduates, all the possibilities that they have moving forward, it's just very moving. It's very good news for them and also for our community and for our future.
I agree. And, I was at OSU's graduation, and I was absolutely amazed at seeing all of those kids out, sitting out there at Reacher on the field. And it was so inspiring to know how many of our kids had chosen higher education and they were going to be going forward. But then I realized that we are just, a microcosm of that, but we are doing the same thing. We're making our world better. We're educating our kids. We're bringing economic opportunities to them that they might not have had otherwise. So, and
Absolutely.
We've got future scientists in that group. We've got future mathematicians that are going to be solving world problems. It's wonderful to think about the impact that they're going to have on society.
It really is. Yeah. And I love about TVCC in particular the wide range. We had a bunch of folks who were receiving diplomas for having achieved their GED, which is a really big deal, especially for adults coming back. And there were a bunch of people who had graduated from the truck driving program, which is a really big deal because we need truck drivers and those are good jobs. And we had a whole range of people who were graduating in preparation for going on to other schools or to do other things, and including a couple of high school graduates who are graduating from high school and from community college at the same time, which is a remarkable feat for really talented, ambitious young people who maybe are bored in high school, and the last couple of years of high school, they dive in and do all the work in community college to get the first couple of years of transfer credits out of the way. So it was remarkable to see that whole span and think about all of the opportunities for all of those people.
Yes.
I also wanted to mention to you that I was copied on an email that that was sent to you last night from Jetty Fishery, inviting you and the Coastal Caucus to get involved in their issue with shellfish licensing. So I just wanted to raise this so folks know we're paying attention. They came to us a month or so ago, and we wrote a letter of support for them, and we reached out to some ODFW board members, and tried to move some conversations forward about the issue is about how going to electronic licensing will negatively impact local businesses on the coast for shellfish licensing, because maybe they don't have. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that was one of our conversations at the Coastal Caucus, because that's going to impact our whole coastal region. And so we'll be reaching out as a group.
Wonderful.
To express ourselves on that, because we realize how that is going to impact not only our visitors, but our retailers, the people who are selling those licenses.
Yeah.
And, can you imagine being in a boat and not being really computer savvy and having no cell service, and here comes the game warden? And you can't remember
and you have to pull up your tag. Yes.
You can't remember your password to get into that? Okay.
Yeah.
You've got some problems there.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to sell anybody short or paint any kind of a picture of someone not being able, but I can see that happening. Or how about you pull that fish in and your phone falls out of your pocket, and so there goes your license, there goes all your information. Yes, they can pull it up, but how does that impact you emotionally when things like that happen?
That's true. That's a good point. Well, I'm glad you're on top of it. I'm not surprised to hear that, and I look forward to working with you in any way that we can work together on that to support those businesses, because it's an important part of our economy. And I think sometimes decisions are made in Salem that folks just don't realize how it actually impacts people on the ground who are living with the consequences of those decisions.
Exactly. Thank you. Let's do that.
You're welcome. Yes, I look forward to it. Well, let's check in and see if Representative Javity is with us this morning. Are you here?
I am here.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Well, it's good to hear Senator Weber's voice. I feel like I haven't seen her in a couple of weeks now. She's been very busy, but I hear her, so I know she's alive and well and working hard, and I appreciate her. And good to hear your voices too. Let's see. I will not repeat most of what she said. She's done a very good job of covering kind of what's going on in the district from the state's perspective. I personally have been having some of the same conversations, specifically a couple things that I don't think were mentioned that I've been working on. I was up in Warrenton this week at Pacific Seafood and visiting their site, looking at all sorts of things that they're up to. One of the things that I was really impressed with was their water treatment process. They've got some state-of-the-art technology up there that removes all sorts of metals and other chemicals and obviously solids from the water, so that's not going into the river and into the groundwater. So that was really cool to see. I was really impressed with the product that comes out of that. They're able to actually separate that out, and then the good stuff they can even get out of that as well and sell it off on the market for pet foods and fertilizer, not the harsh chemicals, but the good stuff. So that was great to see. Good operation. They run a good ship. It's an important part of that community, and up and down the coast, really, we're lucky to have our seafood processors, and they really are trying hard to comply with all sorts of regulations that we're heaping on them, and they seem to be good partners. I know we've got some important discussions coming up here pretty quickly with things like eelgrass and harvesting oysters, et cetera, and so I wanted to make sure that they knew those lines of communication are open and that we really want to do what's best for the economy and the environment. So that was a fun conversation, a beautiful plant, and they've got some needs as well. They need to get a new dock up there. One of the issues they're having that's really out of their control is that, we drive around in these cars and there's chemicals in the tires and the brakes that leak out into the groundwater on the hard surfaces, and then when it rains, not the groundwater, but onto the hard surface, and when it rains, those coppers and nickel and other metals get into the groundwater and into the surface water, and then they run off and drip into the other way, into the ocean, to the rivers, and of course that pollutes it. And they're working hard at looking at solutions on how to even make that water not end up in the streams and oceans. So they're definitely putting their best foot forward and trying. So really happy to see that. I went and spoke to a group last week as well about healthcare in Oregon, specifically again on how do big corporations trying to enter into the healthcare workspace like Walmart's and Amazon's, etc. How will that impact small communities like Tillamook, and will there be a decrease in healthcare access or an increase in healthcare access? So having those conversations. We also talked about healthcare for all, universal healthcare in Oregon. What are the headwinds and the hurdles that are in the way of really providing quality healthcare for every Oregonian? That was a productive conversation. And then I've also sat in on a task force last week where we discussed what happens when things don't go well in Oregon. There's actually an avenue for patients who are having trouble with their health care with a doctor to instead of going to a lawsuit or to mediation, they can go to an agency that will connect the doctor and the patient and try to provide a solution to the outcome that's affordable and doesn't require as much red tape as some of the other ways. So that was kind of fun to do. We're trying to get more of the word out on that so that patients, when they do have those frustrations, feel like they can be heard by somebody who will help them work through whatever the problem is. So more info on that. And other discussions this week that I had were, again, on housing, infrastructure, trying to get more money for necessary improvements like wastewater. And then today, I will, along with Senator Weber, be at that transportation meeting. I know that there's some discussion on, ODOT not having enough money to take care of all the roads and everything else, and potentially trying to increase our gas tax, which I think is just unnecessary. I really think we've taxed enough. We have one of the highest gas taxes in the country, and I think we need to hear from the public on what they think, and from ODOT, and then we really need to make sure ODOT understands, what kind of impact that would have on our community and on travel and people coming to the coast, and how that'll all affect, everything, and then what we can do what does the agency need to do to make sure that are they allocating their resources appropriately to make sure that they're not wasting money on projects that don't include just maintaining the basic, roads and pathways we have to getting products to and from the Willamette Valley over here to the coast, and making sure people drive safely and everyone can drive up and down Highway 6. And it's a wild ride right now as you come up and over that hill, and the same can be said for parts of Highway 30, and so we really need to make sure ODOT hears from the public today, from your voices, on what needs to be done and what the needs of Tillamook County are. They hear from Senator Weber and I, but I think it makes a really powerful statement when the public also weighs in on that. So looking forward to that meeting. And I think that's it. I think Senator Weber kind of covered everything else from the Coastal Caucus and other issues. And just a note, I'll be out of town for the next 2 weeks, so I'm leaving this Thursday. It's a personal vacation with some family, so unfortunately I'm going to miss, for the first time in 12 years, the parade this weekend. But I'll be thinking of everybody, and hopefully not too hot and burning people's skin and everything else like we've had a couple of times. But I'll make sure to be there next year, and I'll be back in time for 4th of July and hope to be able to make some connections out there in the community and attend some events and be supportive. So that's all my report for now.
Thank you, Representative. Doug, do you have any questions for Representative Javity?
Negative. No, I think he covered the waterfront pretty well, as did Senator Weber. So good for him, and I hope he enjoys his vacation. Summer's here.
As do I. And I appreciate you talking, Representative Javity, about the importance of people speaking up for this transportation tour meeting that's happening today. We heard from our Director of Public Works about the things that he's concerned about, that we should all be concerned about, including ODOT being a shortfall of funding. And if they have a shortfall of funding, the things that they won't be able to do, he was saying, think about winter storms, think about the important work that they do on state highways in the winter, and what's it going to be like if they're not available to do the work that we're accustomed, that we count on them to do. And also the dreadful possibility that if ODOT is underfunded, they being I don't know who the decision makers, might think about changing the funding structure, because currently the lion's share of transportation funding goes to ODOT, but counties also get a percentage of it because we have so much road that we're responsible for. And if they shift some of that money away from counties to the state to cover ODOT's expenses, then we will be in dire straits. We're already strapped in our road department funding. And if we had less funding, that would be a disaster for counties. And also, I just think it's important that we're talking about what are we going to do to address the issue of loss of revenue that comes from electric vehicles, because they're not buying gas, so they're not paying gas tax. And, I'm all for green vehicles. I think that's great, but we have a loss of revenue that will just continue to increase. And so we need to do something to replace that revenue. And I'm sure people are talking about it, but I haven't heard what the propositions are, if there are any on the table. So those are things that please.
Yeah, that's a good point. And there are some conversations happening about how do we loop the electric vehicles into that picture, because it's currently not happening, and there's definitely some different options on the table, ranging from, how much they're paying at registration, et cetera, maybe, and so I'm not saying that sounds like it's ready for a really earnest discussion in the public space, but that's definitely happening. It does remind me, there are a couple of things I forgot to mention, just real briefly. I want to shout out to the Public Works Center. I think Chris does a fantastic job, and it's definitely paying attention to all the different projects and problems that we have when it comes to public works up and down the county. And so he's been a great partner, and just wanted to give him a shout out. Second thing, I forgot two things, one on power and then one on farmers markets and people bringing stuff to market. But with respect to electric power, the electric companies have put in their latest proposals for rate increases, and I was astonished, mind blown. They are planning to raise electric rates 20%. This is not PUD necessarily, but PUD does get some of their their power from Pacific Power, et cetera. And so we could see throughout the state and in the county our electric bills really climb up a lot. And I think that's unfortunate, because so many of us, while we can maybe control how much we drive to some degree, it's really hard for us in the winters to not turn on our heaters, and on those hot days, not turn on our AC, et cetera. So I've been writing letters to different officials in Salem. I've been on the phone talking with partners and constituents, trying to, put the brakes on the rate increase, and I don't have anything positive to report right now. It sounds like a lot of those calls are going kind of unheeded. A lot of it, unfortunately, is boiling down to profits, and instead of ratepayers not having to pay for wildfire mitigation costs, et cetera. I don't think that this is largely due to green energy, although green energy is putting some upward pressure on the rates. This is unfortunately just the cost of acquiring and distributing typical sources of power and the cost associated with all those wildfires and what wasn't done to mitigate the fire risk that led to so much destruction, and as a result, some of the penalties and the new costs associated going forward with making sure that the wildfire risk is lower. And so both of those things are putting upward pressure on rates, and we're trying to not have that passed on to ratepayers, but so far unsuccessful. So I wish there was better news on that front, but if you want, you can definitely reach out to the Public Utility Commission of Oregon, letting them know what you think about those rates, and I will try to get that information posted up on my Facebook or send out an email blast, et cetera, so people can follow that link. And then a second, maybe slightly better note, we've had some concerns this week about people who are trying to grow products or make certain products like a salsa, fresh salsa, or grow tomatoes or fruit, et cetera, and then sell them at a farmer's market, and then been running into some headaches with water rights in Oregon. And it's something I learned in the last couple of weeks. If you don't have water rights, you really can't grow stuff and sell it commercially without running afoul of Oregon law. And so there are lots of little operations up and down the coast where people grow delicious things or make delicious things, and then they want to sell that. Some of them have water rights and do it within the law, and some don't. They have like a well, and they have half an acre they want to grow on, but Oregon law right now is kind of throwing a wrinkle into the works and making it so people can't do that even at a farmer's market. And so we're looking at some legislation. I've talked with the agencies, Oregon Department of Agriculture, talked with water rights, the Water Master, et cetera, but looking at some legislation to create a carve out for people who don't have access to official water rights, but do have water and land to grow and want to stay under a certain size and also sell at limited venues direct to the consumers with all the right packaging. Because I'd love to see these farmer markets continue to thrive and maybe even be more robust if people feel like they can do it legally, not have to run afoul of an agency or some law. So more to come on that. I don't think we'll have anything ready for the summer, unfortunately, because I think this will require a legislative fix, it sounds like, which we can't do till January at the earliest. But I think this is something that we will see hopefully solved with a lot of support and backing in Salem for this next season. So I'll keep you updated as that continues to progress, but I just wanted to make sure that got mentioned as well as the power stuff, and that's and thank you for giving me an extra couple of minutes.
Absolutely. Senator, was there something else you wanted to say? I thought I heard her jump in. Well, yeah, I'm really grateful that you brought up the water. Oh, please go. Yeah, please do.
I did, but then he covered it. He took care of it.
Good. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that's great. You're welcome. I'm really glad you brought up the water rights issue, because I just had that conversation for the first time on Saturday. I was volunteering at the Nestucca Anglers annual fin clipping event, which was delightful, and I'll talk about it for a few minutes later. But I was fin clipping next to a man who was telling me that he and his family had purchased a small acreage, planted a bunch of trees. They were hopeful that they were going to have a little, gentleman's orchard and be able to sell their produce at farmers markets. And they had encountered this problem that you just described, that without legal water rights, they're not allowed to sell their produce. And And he was dismayed by that because they have water. They're irrigating their orchard and there's no problem with the water, but they don't have the water rights. And so we had a conversation about it while we were clipping adipose fins. And it was very interesting. And I really, it stuck in my mind. So I'm glad you brought it up, because I thought, well, what on earth is going on with that? We were talking about how if people had, if they're growing fruit or vegetables or whatever in the city, they can sell their stuff. They can use as much stuff as they want. They're just paying for their water. So it is a strange law, and I hope you do address it, because I think we need to eliminate unnecessary barriers for people.
I absolutely agree, and thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, if you're connected to city water, that's essentially your water right. So you get to play by a different set of rules than if you're on well water or other sources of water. And I just think that we can level that playing field a little bit and carve out some space for people. I mean, farmers have to play by an entirely different set of rules, and I don't want to make it so that they're playing by a much harder set of rules than other people that are growing. But I do, if we can narrow it, create something that narrowly targets what people like this gentleman want to do, and then sell them their product at a farmer's market, and it doesn't really change the overall market environment for our larger farmers. I think it's an interesting space to explore. So looking forward to coming up with a solution for that.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Do we have anything else for our Coastal Caucus? This was a great conversation. Thank you. Well, with that, we can move on to Tillamook County Community Health Centers. And Ed Colson is not able to be with us this morning, but he sent in his report, so I'll read it. June is the month of June is recognized as Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Awareness Month, that's PTSD. And June 27th is marked as PTSD Awareness Day. The American Psychological Association describes PTSD as an anxiety problem that develops in some people after extremely traumatic events, such as combat, crime, accidents, or natural disasters. PTSD is associated with overwhelming symptoms such as night sweats, panic attacks, flashbacks, and more. While exposure to trauma is the root cause of the disorder, and trauma can affect everyone, directly or indirectly, not all trauma results in PTSD. Many resources and treatment options exist to help manage symptoms of anxiety and PTSD, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, that's talk therapy, support groups, and even medications. If you or someone you know struggles with PTSD, you are not alone. Help is available. Please talk with your healthcare provider about individualized options and visit ptsd.va.gov for more information. The health department has a community survey, and he says we have extended our recent community health survey to end this Friday, June 21. If you haven't already, please consider taking this survey to share your input on community health issues that are important to you and your experiences accessing health services in Tillamook County. The survey is available in both English and Spanish. Participants can enter a drawing to win a $100 gift card for providing feedback that will help us improve health services available in the community to better serve you. You can find a link to the survey in the News and Notices section of tillamookchc.org. And I do encourage people to take the survey, particularly if they use the services of Tillamook County Community Health Centers, because surveys are how we know how we're doing and how we know what to improve. So your feedback on that is really important. Ed provided a shellfish closure update. Currently, there are recreational shellfish harvesting closures in place until further notice due to cases of paralytic shellfish poisoning. These closures include mussel and bay clam harvesting along the entire Oregon coast. However, razor clamming is currently open along the Tillamook County coastline. The Oregon Department of Agriculture is monitoring the toxin levels and will announce the reopening of closed areas when determined safe. For current status, call ODA's Shellfish Biotoxin Hotline. That's 800-448-2474. or visit their website for their recreational shellfish biotoxin closures webpage. Paralytic shellfish poisoning symptoms are gastrointestinal upset, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, paresthesia, burning sensation on the skin, shortness of breath, headache, confusion, and in severe cases, weakness and paralysis. Please contact the Oregon Poison Center if you encounter a suspected case. And if you're ill, please seek care right away. I was talking to somebody recently whose wife is an ER nurse, and she had encountered a couple of cases of shellfish poisoning, said people were very sick. It also provides upcoming events or notices. Tillamook County Community Health Center offices and clinics are closed June 19th in honor of Juneteenth, a holiday that marks the effective end of slavery in the United States and is a day to reflect on the past, look to the future, and celebrate freedom and hope. So that concludes our report from Tillamook County Community Health Centers. And with that, we could move on to the Reinhardt Clinic. Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Do we have Gail Nelson?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yep. Yes, I am here. Good morning. I do have a couple of announcements, and the graduation at Tillamook Bay Community College. Yes, I am happy to announce that one of our community health workers received her diploma during Friday's commencement at the Tillamook Bay Community College. One of our other team members was recognized for completing her medical assisting certification. And I'd like to share with everyone else who also believes this. We're so fortunate to have the educational resources in our community, and the new healthcare education facility breaking ground this week at the Tillamook Bay campus will provide even more resources, to help train a new cohort of future healthcare professionals, so needed in this region. And my other announcement is just another reminder for the fundraiser concert. There's still just a few tickets left for the fundraising concert held this Sunday, June 23rd in the afternoon. The concert will feature Rick Estrin and the Nightcats. All proceeds will support the new Nehalem Bay Health Center, and we're partnering with the Nehalem Bay Health District and North Coast Music Project on this event. So if you'd like to attend, tickets are available on Ticket Tomato, and you can also visit our website for more details. And that's it for me this morning. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. I'll take questions if there are any.
Thank you, Gail. I appreciate it. And it's great news about folks who are employed by Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy who graduated from TBCC. That's congratulations to them and to you. It really is a wonderful opportunity to train our future healthcare professionals.
I totally agree. Thank you. I'll pass it
Thank
along.
you. Wonderful. With that, we can move on to Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Frank Hanna Williams, are you with us this morning?
Good morning, Commissioners. This
Good
is
morning.
Frank Hanna Williams. I'm Director of Tillamook Family Counseling Center, Behavioral Health Services for Tillamook County residents. I would like to say that we are also closed on June 19th tomorrow in honor of the Juneteenth holiday. And I would also like to say that we're continuing our process of opening up the waiting list and taking applications for the housing apartment building project, the affordable housing project, Turnstone Commons. And if you if you would like information regarding the application process, want to drop off your application, or any other questions regarding Turnstone, you can visit our website for more information. That's tfcc.org/Turnstone Commons, or you can contact the property directly and speak with the housing coordinator, 503-354-2284. Any other information regarding our services, appointments, information about any other programs, by calling 503-842-8201 or 1-800-962-2851. And I will take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Frank. Do we have any questions for Frank? If not, we'll say thank you, and we can move on to emergency management. Do we have Randy Thorpe with us this morning?
Yes, we do, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to add on what Ed sent in on the shellfish. I did find out that luckily for us oyster eaters that the ODA Commercial Fisheries has opened Tillamook Bay and Netarts Bay for oyster harvesting. So that's good news for us who would like to go out this weekend and get us a plate full of fresh Netarts Bay oysters. So that's the one good thing is that we finally got those opened up there. Like I say, but the clams and the mussels are still closed. So enjoy your oysters this weekend. On our weather front, looking at latest what I've got from the Weather Service is that they're predicting some fairly warm temperatures in the Salem North area, which won't affect us, thankfully. And they're looking at temperatures in the upper 80s, lower 90s Thursday through Saturday. But here in Tillamook County, we are going to see great sunny skies and temperatures in the high 60s. So that's exactly why we're all here, is to enjoy that nice temperate temperatures and beautiful sunshines along the coast. So with that, enjoy the day tomorrow if you happen to have it off, and just be careful when you're out recreating out there. So that's all I have for today, Commissioner.
Thank you, Randy. I'd like to follow up a little bit on the oyster conversation. I had a very interesting talk with a biologist from Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife over the weekend, and I got to ask the questions that I had about paralytic shellfish poisoning and the toxin. And I asked, does that mean that the food or the oysters, et cetera, have to be destroyed, or where does it come from? How long does it last? And he said that that paralytic shellfish poisoning, that toxin comes on early in the season. So if it happens, it's going to happen early in the season, like now, and that over time, the animals will metabolize it and they'll pass it, and so the clams that we haven't dug yet, and the oysters that we haven't harvested yet, will metabolize it. It'll move through their systems and out, and they'll be safe to eat, which apparently now are oysters and razor clams are now, while the mussels and bay clams are not. So, but it was very good news to me that the oyster farmers don't have to destroy their oysters, that it'll just metabolize out. And presumably, he said, the restaurants that had oysters at the time when the shellfish ban came on probably should have gotten rid of those, but presumably they did. But otherwise, that he said it's just a matter of waiting it out. So I thought that was very interesting and good news. Just a matter of waiting it out. Okay. Well, Commissioner Olson, would you like to jump in now?
Well, I certainly will. Thank you. Although you did pass over the sheriff's office, did you want to go back and see if someone's there?
Thank you for the reminder. The sheriff let me know that he would not be here today, and I just didn't announce it.
Okay, well, good enough. Yes, thank you. Then I will have a few things here for everybody listening. First, I'll mention was made again about all the graduations and so on, and I just thought I'd pass along my 4 grandkids now are two of the last 2 graduated high school and are off to college. all 4 of them are now in college. And my message to graduates has always been, a lot of things happen as you go through life, but if you have your education, nobody can ever take that away. And I always thought that was, somebody told that to me years ago, and I've always tried to tell others, no matter what happens, your education is yours to keep. So that's a good thing, and congratulations to all these young folks and others who are moving on. I'll also mention Tillamook PUD. The rates were brought up about our high electric rates, and in the state of Oregon, there are 3 large corporations. There's Portland General Electric, Pacific Power, and Idaho Power. All 3 are traded on the New York Stock Exchange and are publicly held companies. And those are the ones that are seeking through the Public Utilities Commission some significant rate increases, upwards of 10, 15, even close to 20%, as I understand. The publicly owned ones, meaning Tillamook PUD and 5 other PUDs, and then a lot of co-ops across, especially central and eastern Oregon. Those utilities get their power from the Bonneville Power Administration and are able to keep the rates much, much lower. So I followed that industry, having been on the PUD board for 15 years. We're quite fortunate here in Tillamook County because when you go to the north in Clatsop County, they have Pacific Power. And when you go down to Lincoln City, they also have Pacific Power. And then a bit further, it's Lincoln PUD. But our neighbors to the north, south, and to the east, in fact, everywhere except into the ocean, is the privately held companies. And they pay considerably more, like a third more roughly. So we do have a good thing going here in Tillamook County. We have some of the lowest electric rates in America. So just in passing, I'll mention that. On to the ODOT that was talked about extensively. There is a tour today and then a roundtable with a number of elected officials and by invitation only. But the big hearing is this evening, 5 to 7. At the officers' mess at the Port of Tillamook Bay. And the people who will be there will be some pretty high-ranking ODOT officials. I think a number of legislative folks will be there and legislative staff. And they really do want to hear. However, the message should be exactly how you see things and point out what they need to hear and what's important to you. And at least for my part, I'll tell you what part of my message would be the funding formula that comes through the state from gas tax now is 50-30-20. 50% stays with ODOT to manage the state highways and state roads. 30% goes to counties, and then the remaining 20% goes to the cities. And so however big the pie is, that's the way it's divided. And you can argue, and I think we will argue today, that the counties have many, many more miles, road miles and lane miles than the state does. And so we certainly don't want to see that formula changed in favor of ODOT. And I think many of us will make that abundantly clear to them. And I expect the cities will ask for the same thing. And there'll also be, I think, probably a discussion about tolls and some other things. And at least what I will say on the toll side of it is that tolls may not be totally objectionable if they were to increase capacity so that as people move to Oregon and shift to electric cars and the population continues to grow, there's more capacity. If tolls are instituted simply to get you out of your car and on a train or into a bus or otherwise some sort of public transit or not travel at all, I'm not sure that's what Oregonians support, and that would be part of my message as well. And I think a good many people that I've heard from have said, well, they might pay $2 or $3 to go somewhere if there were more lanes on the road or a wider highway or some other roads. But Oregon hasn't built a significant highway for many, many, many years, and I don't know if there are any plans on the drawing board. So I'll just leave it at that and invite people to come and make yourself known tonight at the Port of Tillamook Bay, because people do react to testimony. And if it's heavily in favor of one thing or another, it does have an impression. I believe they're making 18 stops around Oregon. So we're fortunate to have them here early on in Tillamook and kind of set the stage for what's ahead. But with that, I'll just mention a couple of other things. The county will be balancing its budget. Well, we've already balanced it, but we'll be adopting it the last Wednesday of the month, which is the 26th. And then we're set for the next fiscal year. However, in July, once a month, I think starting on July 10th, we're going to bring back our budget committee and have the commissioners and some department heads and others. And we're going to look down the road another 3 to 5, 7 years and see where we go, particularly with the general fund, because the future with the change in forest product harvesting and so on is not a positive outlook. So we'll be looking at many, many options, and many of them, maybe most of them, are really quite disagreeable. And I'm talking about considering a 4-day week, maybe hours are cut back to a 6-hour day, a lot of other things that the citizens would not like, nor would the employees. But reality is that we've got some difficult issues ahead of us. So we're going to examine those things. Now, to make it very clear, no decisions have been made. We're simply putting things on the table to talk about. And there's two sides to the budget ledger. One, of course, is revenue, and how could we enhance that or do a better job of generating some revenue. And the flip side of that is, what about expenses? Where could we cut? What could we do without? What are counties required to do compared with what we would like to do or have been doing? So all those discussions will start in July and continue on through the fall. And you might want to plug into those because we're talking about your money, and that's important. A couple of other quick items. We'll have another small utility meeting on Thursday, the 27th, 9 o'clock here at the courthouse. And we're inviting, again, all the small utilities, wastewater and water, to come in and talk about some of the issues, including the lack of capital, what to do if you can't get a full board, where do you find employees who have the correct certification, how do you share equipment, cash flow issues. And we've got some people from the state. We've got the head of Columbia Pacific, which is the Regional Economic Development Agency, and some others to help us through some of these issues. So we'll continue that conversation towards the end of the month. Then I think the last thing I'll mention, and there'll be more to come on this, is we're moving forward now rather quickly on a radio replacement effort to replace all the public safety radios used by nearly all the agencies here in Tillamook County. And that would include our sheriff's office and police departments. It would include all the fire departments, the ambulance service, also have connections over to the state police and public works, our transportation system, and others. And the reason that the county is planning to replace this system is the one we have is well over 20 years old. Parts are now unavailable. It's analog compared to digital, and it's simply beyond its useful life. And so there comes a point, just like with your personal electronics, your phones and your televisions and all those sorts of things, that they're no longer working. And if something fails, particularly in a public safety system, that can actually be life-threatening. And that's not something that your elected officials and county government and city governments and fire boards and so on should do. So we're going to ask the voters to support a bond measure that would fund a new system and bring us literally into the 21st century. So more to come on that. I will now stop talking and hand it back to you, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, I just have a couple things I want to mention. Last week, we had an Emergency Management Advisory Committee meeting. As the liaison to emergency management, I get to be involved in that group. We meet quarterly with a bunch of folks from around the county who are actively involved in emergency management and emergency preparedness. And the committee is advisory to Randy Thorpe, our emergency manager, and also advisory to the commissioners. So that's great. And we met this time at the sheriff's office. The sheriff hosted us, and we got a tour of the justice facility and learned about how it is involved and can be used in an emergency, which was, it could be an emergency operations center. It's set up to be a backup emergency operations center, the primary one being at 911. And we got a tour of all the equipment that they use for search and rescue, which was fascinating. And we learned from some deputies and a cadet about search and rescue functions. So that was very interesting. But the thing I really wanted to mention to folks is that we also had a presentation from the Civil Air Patrol. So we have a very active Civil Air Patrol group here locally. And the Civil Air Patrol is a citizen under the umbrella of the Air Force, but it's a citizen group. And we learned from them some of the things that they're capable of doing. For example, flying up and down the coastline and doing imaging. They did some of this imaging for the Great American Shakeout Tsunami Evacuation Drill, where they fly up and down the coastline and do imaging to show the before and after. So in a real emergency, we will have the resource of all the before photos, and then they'll be able to fly overhead presumably and do the after photos so that we can see what's changed, and also so that they can identify pockets and places where people are isolated and things that have happened. So that's invaluable. And they were also talking about being able to enhance connectivity in the case of a disaster, which is also invaluable. So it was fascinating. We learned a lot about Civil Air Patrol. I really didn't know anything about them other than that they exist. And I just want the community to know that if they have a program for cadets, for young people who are interested in Civil Air Patrol. They have an active program, and it's also an opportunity for private pilots to get involved. So please check out Civil Air Patrol and reach out if you want information about how to connect with them. So also, I just wanted to mention again that the Nestucca Anglers invited me to their fin clipping event on Saturday. I went and it was delightful. It was just great. And I learned so much. I learned so much about their process, how it works. I learned that they collect eggs from native fish, so that the hatchery fish get a bad name for impacts on native fish, but they collect the eggs from the native fish. So the hatchery fish are in essence native fish. And, by DNA, I mean, that's where they came from. So that was interesting. I learned that this is the 25th anniversary of Nestucca Anglers. And so for 25 years, citizen volunteers have been running this program. It was really interesting to see how it's done and what's done. And this was the event where they collect all the little smolt, everything from 1.5 inches to a couple inches, and cut off the tiny adipose fin next to the tail, so that when you're catching them out in the bay, whether or not this is a native fish. So that it was just a great event. It was fabulous to see all of the community members who come out to support the effort, and it was very impressive. So hats off to Nestucca Anglers and also the other groups in our coastal community that do that work, because it's citizen groups that do that work that keep the fisheries alive. One of the things that the recreational fisheries, one of the things that I learned was that they've been able to count with the Nestucca Anglers. They've been able to count as the fish return and are caught, that 25% of the local catch are fish that they raised and fin clipped. So the 25% is huge. It's a huge impact to that fishery. So bravo, that was great. And I'm so glad you invited me. Thank you. And also TBCC groundbreaking, Senator Weber mentioned it. It's this Friday at the college, at the site of the new building, of course, the healthcare education building, at 1 p.m. So we invite the community and hope to see you there. And with that, we'll move on to the cities. Do we have someone on from the city of Manzanita? Give them a chance to unmute. They're generally with us. I'd be surprised if they're not. but we can move on and they can jump in later if they get unmuted. Do we have anyone on from Nehalem or Wheeler? How about Rockaway Beach? How about the city of Garibaldi?
Apologies, Commissioner Bell. This is Mayor Stock in Manzanita. My Star 6 technology was not working at first. Can I speak now?
Well, I'm glad you're able. Yes, please. I'm glad you're able to join us.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So as always, I'd like to begin with a thank you to everyone on the call. These, I have to admit, I started these calls before having the responsibility of showing up, and I wasn't aware of it, frankly, and I have found it to be a tremendous resource for learning from so many angles what is going on in the county and the complexity and depth of some of the things we all face together. And as I always like to tell people, it's so great to see the commitment from everyone on the phone here and your willingness and ability to share and simplify things at times for the public when we're dealing with complex things. But anyway, I've particularly appreciated some of the discussions this morning and wanted to say thank you. In terms of an update, I'll be brief this morning. I just, in the interest of advancing community preparedness and awareness, I'm going to continue on the topic of emergency preparedness and let everyone know that not this Friday, but the following, June 28th, we will be hosting in Manzanita at the Pine Grove Community House, Dr. Jonathan Allen, who is with the Department of Geology and Mineral Industries, affectionately known as DOGAMI around here. He'll be speaking at 2 o'clock, and it should go for a couple hours. But what he's going to be doing is something titled Everything You Need to Know About Earthquakes and Tsunamis. And EVCNB, the organization sponsoring it, is emphasizing that there is new information that Dr. Allen will be sharing. So it should be informative and worthwhile. And I think the task of continuing to stay informed about emergency preparedness is important. It's not something we can, you'd like to think, and it'd be a great world where you could just show up to something once and that would be enough. But continued education on this is really important. So we're looking forward to hosting him and his talk, and that again will be June 28th at 2 o'clock at the Pine Grove Community House in Manzanita. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for your kind words. Well, as we were moving through the cities, I was at the city of Garibaldi. Do we have anyone on from Garibaldi? How about the city of Bay City? Or the city of Tillamook? Yes.
Commissioner, can you hear me?
Is it
Hi, Charles.
I can.
Charles McNeely from Rockaway Beach. I also was having trouble with Star 6 and had to sign off and sign back in. Anyways, I'm here if there's still time for me to speak.
Well, we are glad to hear from you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. All right. Rockaway Beach held its strategic planning retreat with council members and city leadership last Tuesday. It was a highly productive session, and the next steps are broad-based community engagement, and all of this will lead to a missions and values statement and a 5-year roadmap for the city. So it's a big step for Rockaway Beach. Our Source Water Protection Plan Development Advisory Committee met yesterday and had a robust discussion of risks to Jetty Creek watershed, which is the first step in putting a source water protection plan together, is to identify all of the risks, and the next step will be looking at impact and likelihood of each of those risks. At our council meeting, June council meeting, City Council proclaimed June 2024 as High School Senior Recognition Month. We selected Bill Hassel as the 2024 July 4th Parade Grand Marshal and Ronnie Duckworth as Volunteer of the Year. We extended our intergovernmental agreement with Tillamook County Sheriff Office to June 28th for the provision of law enforcement services. Very happy with that relationship. And then we approved a proposal from Granicus for short-term rental host compliance software and services. And we understand Tillamook County has had a very good, productive working relationship with them. So we're looking forward to adding this to our city's toolkit for managing a very large business in our community. We approved a letter of intent and non-disclosure agreement with Nuveen Natural Capital to move forward on funding opportunities to purchase the lower watershed of Jetty Creek. We adopted our budget, and one of the most exciting things for me about our new budget is we've added a rainy day fund into our budget so that we build up a surplus should we have a downturn of some type in the tourist industry. And then last Thursday is our weekly artisan market at the Wayside. Invite all of you to come and enjoy the vendors, the food, the fun stuff that will be there from 3 to 7 on Thursday. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, and thanks for going to the trouble to go and to leave the call and come back. I appreciate your report.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, that makes me wonder if Garibaldi or Bay City were having the same problem. Do we have anyone on from Garibaldi or Bay City? If not, let's move on to Tillamook. Nathan George, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. I wanted to provide, first of all, a quick update on the council meeting last night. The council held a public hearing regarding CDBG funds, Community Development Block Grant funds, as we close out the design and engineering portion of our project, which is on the Well 2 and Reservoir Resiliency Construction Project. So that is over behind the East Elementary School. We are upgrading a lot of the well, parts of the well, and also building a holding tank there. There will also be a kind of a mini water treatment system there to draw water from Well 2 and Well 3, which will, it's also seismically sound, so it'll be safe in case of an earthquake. So that's a huge part of a resiliency program for our city. Also, we had a second public hearing on the same situation or the same need, which is community development grants, with the intention of the city going out and applying for funding for the construction. So those were both held, and any questions from the public were answered. City Council also approved resolutions supporting assisted fair housing programs in the city of Tillamook. Council approved a resolution declaring the city of Tillamook's election to receive Oregon State revenues. And also, City Council held and approved a request, they held a public hearing and they approved the resolution adopting the city's 2024-2025 budget. And next year we will be shifting to a biannual budget in alignment with the state, which will be very helpful. The budgets are basically the same thing every year, and only planning every 2 years will save staff time and save community time. Also, City Council approved an easement between the City of Tillamook and Tillamook County, which will help drain a significant area over off of Marloff Loop and 3rd Street regarding the county fairgrounds and the Kilchis House. And we want to thank Chris Lady from the Public Works Department. The county got up and gave some real detailed information on that. That was very helpful. Appreciate him being there. So that easement will go across the City of Tillamook's Public Works garage area, and then it'll drain into the ODOT right away into the drainage for Highway 6. Also, a very touching moment last night. Councilor Reynolds read a little statement and the resolution to rename the Joe Champion Fields to the Humberto Maciel Fields, named after Humberto Maciel, who is a Brazilian from Brazil, who did significant work and in soccer and in our community. He was a volunteer firefighter, just a lot of amazing things. And unfortunately, he was killed in an accident in 2021. So the fields have been renamed to Humberto Maciel Fields. We will eventually be having a little ceremony for that. And we'll also be having a ceremony in the near future for the new Henson Plaza, which is the 2nd Street Plaza, has now been named Henson Plaza after the late Councilor Doug Henson. Also, I had the opportunity to attend his funeral, and Councilor Nick Torres gave a wonderful speech, as well as everyone else. It was a beautiful day. It was a very wonderful celebration of his life. And with that, we only had the normal reports. In the police department, Lieutenant Troxel attended the Tillamook School District Number 9 board meeting last night, and our school resource officer memorandum of understanding was on the agenda and was approved by the board of directors. So we want to state this partnership is very important for our community and our police department and our students, and we want to thank the school district for their continued partnership in having a school resource officer in the schools. Public Works Department is busy with the June Dairy Parade preparations. Once again, a reminder, June Dairy Parade is a Tillamook Chamber of Commerce event, which is supported by the city. Lieutenant Trox met with Public Works to ensure they're on track together, and excitement is building, looking forward to the parade this year. Tides of Change hosts a virtual crime lab with the state police. This is attended by Lieutenant Troxel, and we are thankful for the hard work that Tides of Change is doing regarding the rebuilding of our sexual assault examiner program for Tillamook County. And Lieutenant Troxel and Police Department are happy to report we're 99% complete for our accreditation process. This is a great, huge milestone for the Police Department, and we're only months away from moving to the next step, the accreditation process. So I am very excited. We started this process 3 years ago, and it's very exciting, and we are almost to be fully accredited. Code Enforcement Officer Moreland and Lieutenant Troxel met with Tillamook Canine Rescue about our partnership with them, and we are always looking for ways and areas of improvement and ways to better serve our community. We appreciate our Canine Rescue and their team. The monthly Domestic Violence Council was held last week. Lieutenant Troxel represented the police department. Discussions around trauma-informed response occurred. Lieutenant Troxel is working towards having all department members trained in trauma-informed response. And the DA's office, District Attorney, provided a great training session for all law enforcement officers in Tillamook County last week. This training was well received and will be offered again for those who couldn't attend. The city would like to sincerely thank DA Olson for making this possible. And the monthly major crimes team meeting was held last week. Officer Olson, Sergeant Harrells, Lieutenant Troxel attended. These meetings allow all law enforcement in the county to come together and discuss cases and plan next steps. And in the police department, Lieutenant Troxel attended the quarterly Tillamook County Emergency Management meeting. I know we heard about that from the commissioners recently. In this call is a great time for all those partners to get together and discuss resources and training. And the city wishes to thank Sheriff Brown for hosting this meeting and showing us all the equipment, resources the Sheriff's Office has to offer. In our Public Works Department, the Street Division is continuing preparation for the June Dairy Parade, as we talked about, by organizing and assembling the hundreds of traffic control devices necessary for this event. So as you may notice, one thing as you're driving around town, in the downtown area, you'll see signs up reminding people certain areas that not to park in between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. on this coming Saturday, which is the June Dairy Parade date. The street staff division will be sweeping streets, including the bioswales downtown this week. And as more sewer laterals are replaced and the city continues collaborating with contractors and homeowners, please be aware of the increased construction activity around town. Your patience and cooperation is greatly appreciated as we work to improve the city's infrastructure. You may have noticed that a lot of sewer laterals are being replaced. We're very excited about this. They have been the responsibility of homeowners since the 1970s, at least on our code. And wanted to mention that one of our counselors, Councilor Runes, talked last night about, although it's not a fun subject for those selling the house, most of these sewer laterals are taking place at point of sale, which is what the council approved earlier this year or the end of last year. But the buyers are very, very happy about what is happening. So this is a really huge win for our community. It is helping our sewer lateral systems, and it's also helping people come in as they buy homes. Also, the city continues to auction off unneeded items and property. If anyone would like to, you may view and purchase these items online. And we have recently switched. We used to use publicsurplus.com. We are now using govdeals.com. So you can go to govdeals.com/Tillamook for more information. It's been a while, but I reported several months ago we had made actually over $60,000 just selling off our old unneeded items and junk. So it is great. We still have lots more to sell. We're really getting organized and cleaned up. Also, Public Works Department is hiring a full-time technician. This position offers great benefits, and we'd like to suggest anybody interested to please visit our website or come into City Hall. Also, a reminder that we have some different resources available to let people know about how they can help support the replacement of their sewer lateral lines, and we're working on getting that up on our website, getting more information on our website, and you can also call us for the information. All municipal elections are on the city's website and are live and will be through August 13th. Wards 1, 3, 5, and 6 are all open seats. To run for city office, the resident must complete the packet found on the city's website, or it can be picked up at City Hall in the office of the Deputy City Recorder through the 13th of August. Last week, I was able to attend the Northwest Oregon Area Commission of Transportation last week, which is acronym is NW or Northwest Act. It's one of our 12 area commissions in Oregon that play advisory roles in the Department of State Transportation, Development of State Transportation. And I want to say it was really great to see all the attendees and their concern for our part of the state, especially those in our community, which is Senator Weber, Commissioner Olson, and other representatives from our Tillamook County cities and many others. So please note we are hiring, as I said, a public works technician. We're also hiring a planning technician and a project manager engineer. So please visit our website or stop by City Hall for an application. Reminder, if you see something, say something by calling 911 for emergencies or dispatch for non-emergencies. And City Hall will be closed tomorrow, June 19th, in honor of Juneteenth Day. And the next regular council meeting will be held Monday, July 1st at 7 p.m. And we encourage anyone who'd like to come visit or watch online. And that's all I have, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate your report as always. I'd like to remind folks that you're welcome, that county offices and the State Circuit Court are also closed tomorrow for the Juneteenth holiday. So with that, I'd like to thank KTIL for broadcasting every week. I'd like to thank everyone who listens and thank everyone who participates. This meeting is adjourned at 9:20 a.m. Thanks, everyone.